Hi, I'm Ernie Medina with TRB, and today I'm here to talk to you about HR 127 again. I released a previous video not too long ago about HR 127 when it first came out, and we had the headlines of what we could expect. Now that the verbiage is out, I want to go through with you a little bit about the details of HR 127, what it is, and what to expect should this thing pass. But the bill is called the HR 127 Sabika-Chic Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. And it was or is proposed by Sheila Jackson, senator from Texas. And let's go into the details of the bill. Now, as you can tell, I'm actually using my phone for this one. There's so much going on in this bill that I need the phone as reference to make sure that I cover everything for you. So basically, it has to do with basically firearms licensing, firearms ownership, storage, ammunition. They spared no expense on what to put in on this one. So let's just get into it about what they want. Okay, so first of all, in order to own a firearm and have it, you need to have a firearms license, okay? And that license, you have to go through certain hoops in order to obtain that license, okay? And in order to obtain that license, you need to go through the Attorney General's office and at least be 21 years of age and undergo a criminal background check, okay? And you need to also undergo a psychological evaluation, which is conducted by the AG's office or a representative from the AG's office or somebody who approved. Okay, you need to complete a 24-hour training course. Okay, and then you must show proof of insurance for owning that firearm. So basically, you need to have insurance for it. Kind of like you need to have proof of insurance for your car, you now have to have proof of insurance for your firearms. Okay, so let's go back on the just the licensing requirement. Okay, so if you are say 18 and can own a long gun, you can't anymore. This now brings basically the legal age for owning a firearm up to 21. You can serve your country, you just can't own a firearm yet. Now, after applying for that license, again, going back to the criminal background check, that has to be completed. But every time you buy a firearm thereafter, you can expect to have to do the background check upon purchase of that firearm as well. So now we're just being a little bit redundant. Again, the psychological evaluation, this one I feel would be very subjective because it's basically somebody, a doctor, whoever, who thinks that you have a propensity or whatever, or maybe has a bias, him or herself, of you owning firearms or anyone owning firearms, can put their spin, their opinion on whether or not you should have a license. The training course, I find that, granted, we're all about training. However, to require someone to go through a 24-hour training course would be austere for potentially that person because, for instance, let's just say I go through this licensing requirement, which costs money. It will cost money for sure. And then I have to go through this training course. That's going to cost additional money. Okay, so not everybody has the exorbitant amount of money to go through these hoops. So basically, you're eliminating a good chunk of the population that may no longer have access to firearms because they just can't afford it. In addition, we're talking about, let's say you have antique firearms in your house and you want to display said antique firearms, then you need to have a license for that, okay? And that antique firearm must be displayed in a certain manner in accordance with what they deem appropriate. And then if you have a military-style weapon, and yes, things like the AR-15 and things like that, you need to have a special license for that firearm, okay? So understand that if you have the various types of firearms, you need to have a license for different kinds, okay? In addition, storage. Storage is going to be a thing because you're going to have to disclose where in your property you have your firearms stored, okay? So not only will you have to disclose which firearms you have, so down to the detail of every firearm that you own, down to make, model, serial, etc. You need to disclose that. But then on top of that, you need to disclose where these items are located in your property. And then on top of that, you also understand that this information will be made available not only to law enforcement and government agencies, but will also be available to the general public. So not only will law enforcement know where you have your stuff, your neighbor and anybody that wants to learn that about you can easily go on Google or wherever and look at your stuff and find out where it is. Okay, essentially, you are creating a shopping list for bad guys to know where your stuff is. Okay, now this license that I've been talking about for the first 5 years will require renewal every year. Okay, and then after that 5-year period, assuming no issues, then it will revert to a 3-year renewal process, basically renewing it every 3 years. Okay. And the renewal must be by the end of a 60-day period that begins with the date the license expires. Okay, so basically you have 60 days to renew. Now let's go back on the insurance aspect. It says here, in general, the Attorney General shall issue to any person who has applied for a license pursuant to subsection C and has paid to the Attorney General the fee specified in paragraph 2 of this subsection a policy that ensures the person against liability for losses and damages resulting from the use of any firearm by the person during the 1-year period that begins with the date of the policy issued. So not only is the Attorney General's office in the business of psychological evaluations, they now just threw their hat into the ring into the insurance business. You essentially are buying insurance from the Attorney General's office. Okay. So that's an interesting one as well. And it goes into, of course, the different makes, models of different kind of military-style weapons that they deem would be inappropriate, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things here in this bill. Another thing that goes along with this bill is with the licensing requirement, the fee for registering each type of firearm and each type of ammunition. So there is an ammunition restriction on this one where, first of all, you can only have calibers up to 50 BMG and certain variations, smaller than that. But different types of ammunition will be banned. And different types of magazines will be banned. So any magazine capable of holding greater than 10 rounds will be not allowed. The max capacity will be 10 round mags. So those of us here in California, we've been used to that, but this will be a federal thing. So ammunition certainly will be affected as well. Where you, for instance, have to pay the fee is that you have to pay the fee on the firearm itself. So there's an exorbitant amount of fees with regards to the registration of each firearm, i.e., for instance, $800 per firearm, and then you have a fee for each magazine that you have. So again, you can see that there's basically, it's going to rule out the majority of folks that could want to own firearms or have firearms. They're not going to be able to maintain that ongoing fee. There is a requirement to register the current firearms that you have. So there's no grandfathering on this bill. So for instance, if you have X amount of firearms in your possession right now, you must go within a certain amount of time, I believe it's 90 days on this one, to register those firearms or face penalties. So there is no grandfathering. So if you have 30 round mags or this or that or whatever, that's not going to apply. So this bill is chock full with a lot of crazy things. Certainly, I encourage everyone to go into the bill itself, the verbiage, which is what I'm referencing, for much greater detail. But this bill, as I've explained, covers a whole slew of things that would essentially make this the most stringent gun control bill ever passed in our land. So if you own firearms, you should definitely be knowledgeable about this and how it might affect you. Certainly you don't want to put yourself in a position where you'd be in trouble with the law. So make sure you're well versed on this, because this could make people criminals overnight simply by not knowing. And then, of course, depending on your opinion of the matter, and we don't sway anyone's opinion, but depending on how you feel with regards to this bill, please let your local representatives in Congress know how you stand and what you feel about this, and make sure that your voice is heard. Personally, myself, I'm going to make sure that my voice is heard against this bill, to make sure that I could do everything in my power as an individual citizen to properly inform my representatives not to move forward with this bill, as it would only cause hardship for the individual citizen. So that husband, wife, maybe a single husband, single wife out there that has a family, and this is the only means to protecting themselves, they are going to be essentially locked out of the opportunity of owning firearms, and their ability to protect themselves and their families will be severely affected. So this will affect the whole gamut of people. So tell your representative how you feel, read the bill, make sure you're well versed in it, so that way you can track it as it unfolds. Did you visit the Orange County Sheriff's Department website and feel overwhelmed at the daunting application process? Well, give us a call and reach out to us, and we'll work with you and for you in order to prepare your application so you have the best chance of getting approved for your CCW.